Power. It's what metal guitarists crave. And if you're like me down at the local O'Charlie's for the Tuesday night all-you-can-eat chicken tenders, you can never get enough. And you need power.
Because you need headroom.
Because there is nothing worse than a loud drummer and a second guitarist drowning out your rig and exposing you for the wimp that you really are. Because for metal, that power and headroom is essential. You need your O's and ones to carry all the way to the back of the room at your local gig. And they will, because no one's gonna be there watching you. So why is it that the most powerful 200-watt solid-state amplifier on the market seems to be letting down so many local idiot guitarists? Well, guess what? I've got a secret. You might be surprised to know it's user error. So today, I'm gonna unleash the secret of the headroom that lies within the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and welcome to Belligerent Studios. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome, high-gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E-standard thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and grown men that wear backwards ball caps just to piss you off, yes, this is a comment that I get often for whatever reason, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! What the hell was that? Alright guys, so today, I'm gonna be making a quick video to address a really common issue that I actually see pop up in the online guitar forums and groups fairly often, and also one I find myself addressing in my inbox a lot of the time. I get a lot of people messaging me about this, and honestly, I figured it might be beneficial to make a video explaining and showcasing how to fix this issue. It's not really an issue, with the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200. So the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200 is one of the most popular pedal-sized power amps on the market. So the Seymour Duncan Powerstage seems to be the most popular lineup when it comes to the portable power amps, whether it be the 700, which is kind of like a little rack-mounted power amp, or the 170 or the 200. They also have a stereo PS100 that I've been bothering them to send me for over a year now because I have some really cool ideas for videos for that. So leave it down below in the comments if you guys want to see me display my ideas. I don't know, I didn't really know how to finish that sentence. But yeah, these really seem to be the power amps that have popularized portable power for people who are looking to take their rig on the road without having to take a big, heavy tube amp. And honestly, since these have become popular, it seems like a whole bunch of other options in a similar vein have been sprouting up on the market, but this is the one that I see the most. But the perceived issue with the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200 is that even though it is a 200-watt Class D solid-state amplifier, it seems to lack headroom and volume. I have addressed this more times than I could possibly count in my inbox, people messaging me and saying, hey Kyle, I know you've got the Powerstage 200, is it just me, or does it seem like this thing has no headroom? Do the clipping lights come on way earlier than you think that they should? And do you also struggle with getting this thing to cut in a mix in a live band situation without clipping the hell out of the preamp input and the power input? And honestly, I always tell them, no, this thing is actually extremely loud if you use it in the right way to maximize the headroom and the wattage that is contained within it. So for those of you who don't know, there are basically two different kinds of pedal-sized power amps that are on the market right now. There is the Class D power amp, which is the Seymour Duncan style, and then there is Class AB, which is something like the orange Pedal Baby. Now, not only will these two different styles of power amps have different tonal and different feel characteristics to them, but with Class D power amps were designed around efficiency. And essentially, the lower the load on the amplifier, the more efficient they are because the more power that they are able to supply. It was once explained to me like this years ago in the car audio scene. Think of ohms or ohm ratings as a garden hose. The higher the number, the thinner the garden hose. I know what you're thinking. Okay. But the lower that number gets, the more that garden hose opens up and the more water is able to flow through the hose, or in this case, with a Class D amplifier, the more power is able to flow out of it that it can use efficiently. And of course, I'm gonna title this video something like
The Secret to Unleashing the Power of the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200.
But it's not a secret at all. It's right there in the literature for this on any website, reputable website that you're gonna buy it from. And of course, that most reputable website is Sweetwater, who is actually sponsoring this video, but more on that in a little bit. But do me a favor and click that affiliate link now so I can get paid. But in the description of this, you will go down and you will see that it has different power ratings at different ohm ratings. But the problem is, not all of them are listed. And a lot of websites that I have found, not all of those power and ohm ratings are actually listed and laid out for you. Now, like most Class D amplification marketing or advertising, they always give you the maximum, and that's what it's advertised at. 4 ohms, 200 watts, that's the max that you're gonna be able to get out of this thing, so it's the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200, right? But in reality, most people don't have 4 ohm cabinets, or they're not using 4 ohm settings on their cabinets, and therefore, because Class D power amplifiers step down their power significantly at those higher impedances, such as 8 ohms or 16 ohms, you are not getting that full 200 watts. In fact, you're not really getting anywhere close to it, because this amplifier at 8 ohms puts out 117 watts at 1% total harmonic distortion, and that is a far cry from the 210 watts that it puts out at 4 ohms at that same 1% total harmonic distortion. And as far as 16 ohms, which every Marshall cab is, in fact, most cabinets that aren't Engel or Mesa cabinets are 16 ohm operation. We don't even know. I think I read somewhere online that somebody figured out it was something like 65 watts. And therein lies the issue that everybody is running into. 65 watts at 16 ohm. Most people are using 16 ohm cab. It's the most common cab impedance on the market for 4x12s. 65 watts, not gonna get you very far. So I am actually going to show you the massive difference between 16 ohm and 4 ohm on the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 400. And I'm doing that with the help of my friends at Sweetwater, who once again are sponsoring this video. Because in order to truly show you the difference in volume that you're gonna be able to get out of this thing, we need a decibel meter. And thankfully, Sweetwater sent out this, the Galaxy Audio Checkmate CM140 SPL meter, or decibel meter. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set this up on a mic stand right in front of the cab, about 5 feet back from the cab. I'm gonna set up a couple of different microphones, but I'm gonna have a camera on this Galaxy Checkmate, and you are going to see a very noticeable difference in those decibel ratings between 16 ohms and 4 ohms on the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200. And if you need a decibel meter for any purpose at all, or you want to pick up the Powerstage 200 after you see this video because you realize that they are capable of immense volumes, or any other new gear, make sure to hit my affiliate link for Sweetwater down below in the description and in the comments of this video. They are the best in the business at what they do and at what we do. Sweetwater.com. This isn't hooked up to anything. So with all that said, let's go ahead, let's hook this up to a 16 ohm cabinet that also has a 4 ohm input on it, and let's have our minds and our eardrums blown. All right, guys, so I have a whole rig set up here in order to demonstrate the volume differences. As you can see, we have the Galaxy Audio Checkmate over on a stand. I've got a camera on that stand, and as of the time of speaking, as of the time of right now, just me speaking here in the room is somewhere between 67 and 70 decibels roughly, and obviously that will continue to go up as we turn on the amplifier. But what I'm gonna do is I have the Seymour Duncan Powerstage set up through my Marshall 1916 AV cab. I chose this cab for a very deliberate reason, and that is because even though it is a 16 ohm cabinet, it has a 4 ohm input jack, and pretty much any Marshall 1960 series cab is gonna have that on it. So that is the easy way to get a cab that actually has a 4 ohm input and to be able to take advantage of all of the power of the Seymour Duncan Powerstage. Unfortunately, if you have an 8 ohm cabinet, meaning you have a 412 speaker cab that has 4 8 ohm speakers in it, there is no way to wire that to 4 ohms, and there is also no way to access all 4 speakers at that 4 ohm impedance. There is a 4 ohm jack on the back of those Mesa cabinets and similar 4x12 cabinets, but that is the stereo jack, and even if you plug into both of those outputs, you're not gonna get 4 ohms. You're gonna get 2 speakers at 4 ohms, but as soon as you go back to utilizing all 4 speakers, you're gonna be back at 8 ohms. So just figured I would clear that up because I'm guaranteed that there are gonna be people asking me that in the comments after this video is over. So with all that said, I've got 2 different microphones set up in the room. I've got a close mic right up on the speaker, and that is an SE Electronics V7 microphone. And then about 10 feet back from the cab, I have an SE Electronics X1A condenser microphone, and that is essentially just going to try to capture the room sound a little bit more accurately than the close mic. And I just figured I'd mention, because this is a pedal that I've been having a lot of fun with lately. This is the Aris Effects 51 Filthy. It is a 5150 preamp style pedal and it sounds amazing. So that is what we are using to go into the Duncan Powerstage. You guys see the 5150 sitting here on top of the cab. The purpose for that is I am actually going to show you how loud the Duncan Powerstage gets in comparison to this 5150 with the volume at 4, which if you've ever played the 5150 at the volume at 4, you will know that that is a very, very loud volume. And also once you turn it higher than 4, doesn't really get any louder. That's kind of like the ceiling of the headroom on this amplifier, so it's essentially as loud as this amplifier is gonna get, and I think you might be shocked at the results. So with that being said, I'm currently plugged into the 16 ohm input on this cabinet, and then we are going to switch to the 4 ohm after we get a good reading on the 16 ohm. Right now I have the volume at 0, and I am actually going to basically just turn up the preamp volume until I get to the point where the preamp clip light starts to come on, and it helps to make sure that you're actually plugged into what you're trying to play through. We are now going to turn up the Duncan Powerstage until we get to the point where it's power amp clipping, and then we're gonna switch to the 4 ohm input and do the same. Here we go! All right, so around 110 decibels, let's go ahead, let's switch to the 4 ohm input. So the difference between those 2 volumes is massive. You're talking 110 decibels on 16 ohm, 117 decibels on 4 ohm. Insane difference. That is as loud as you're ever gonna need to be, unless you're in some stupid idiot doom or sludge band where you're playing so loud that you can't hear the drummer anyways, in which case nobody wants to listen to your music. So the Checkmate was giving us a reading of over 117 decibels on that 4 ohm setting. Incredibly loud, and hopefully the mics display the difference in volumes. I don't know that they will, but hopefully they display them somewhat accurately. I'm gonna keep the gain. I'm not gonna normalize anything after the fact so you guys can see that difference. It's staggering, man. This thing is loud in the room to the point where it was uncomfortable for me to sit here and listen to it. So what I wanna do, last thing I wanna do in this video, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna play one more riff through this at that 4 ohm setting, and then I'm gonna play the same riff through the 5150 with the volume on 4, and we're gonna compare those decibel ratings. And one thing I do want to point out for those of you that don't know, these clipping lights, you need to make sure that they are not on, man, because I've heard a lot of people complain about blowing up their Seymour Duncan Powerstage and basically calling it a piece of crap. It's not built well. That is 100% user error, man, because if you have these red lights going on for any considerable amount of time, that means you're either clipping the preamp or clipping the power amp, and that is a fast way to blowing up a Class D power amp, is by clipping it in any way. So that is why I am stopping as those lights get red, and I'm kind of backing it down a little bit because I do not want those clipping lights on. That's gonna damage the Duncan Powerstage, and we don't want that. So just in case you don't know, you want no red lights. Ever. At all. Alright guys, so the PV5150 at volume level 4 is basically almost exactly the same as the Seymour Duncan Powerstage with this pedal going into a 4 ohm cab. Both of these, both the 5150 and the Duncan Powerstage, 4 ohms, both somewhere around that 117 decibel mark. There were points where the PV was going a little bit higher, and I think that's just because it's got a little bit more bass going on than the setup that I had with the Seymour Duncan, but very, very close. You're not going to notice or not going to be able to tell a 1 or less than 1 decibel difference in volume, but you are definitely going to be able to tell a 7 to 8 decibel difference in volume like we were getting between the 16 ohm and the 4 ohm setting on the Duncan Powerstage. So that about wraps it up for me, guys. Hopefully that answered some questions and cleared up some misconceptions around the Seymour Duncan Powerstage 200. I think it's an excellent unit. It's got plenty of headroom if you use it with a 4 ohm cabinet to get that full 200 watts out of it. And if you want to pick up one for yourself, if you were scared to pick one up before because you didn't know if it would be enough, and now you know that it is, do me a huge favor, check out that Sweetwater affiliate link down below in the description and the comments to pick up the 200, the 170, the 700, whatever it is, whatever guitar gear that you guys need, Sweetwater's got it, baby. Also, if you guys need a decibel meter for your own uses, check out that Galaxy Checkmate, either the 130 or the 140, over at Sweetwater's website as well. And again, big shout out to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed already, get subscribed so you can see me do more poor science experiments on the channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.